Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Smiley. Hey, I wanted to share a book. It's another, of course, I say they're all my favorites, but this is one I read a lot when I was a little girl. And I think it probably is one of the first books I learned to read. And it's by P.D. Eastman. It's a Cat in the Hat book or a Dr. Seuss book, The Best Nest. You get rhyme right in the title. This is just a really fun story. And we'll talk a little bit more about it at the end. So put your listening ears on and here we go. Mr. Bird was so happy. He was so happy he had to sing. This was Mr. Bird's song. I love my house, I love my nest, and all the world my nest is best. Now here he is happy singing. Look at his wife. Then Mrs. Bird came out of the house. It is not the best nest, she said. I'm tired of this old place, said Mrs. Bird. I hate it. Let's look for a new place right now. Oh my goodness. So they left the old place to look for a new one. This place looks nice, said Mr. Bird. Let's move in here. Where are they trying to go? Where do they see? Yep, right here, this little hole in the tree. Do you think that's going to be the best nest? Yes or no? What do you think? But somebody else had already moved in, so they looked at another house. This one looks nice, said Mr. Bird, and there's nobody in it. Oh my goodness, so the raccoon was already there, and there's nobody in this one. Does that look like a good house? You're wrong, said Mrs. Bird. This house belongs to a foot. So they went on looking. I like this one, said Mr. Bird. It has a pretty red flag on the roof. I've always wanted a house with a flag, said Mrs. Bird. Maybe this place will be all right. Now, is that going to be a good place for a nest? Yes or no? And look what's coming down the street. It's the postal worker. Yep. I don't know. Let's see. And he's smashing all the letters in the mailbox. It was not all right. I guess I made a mistake, said Mr. Bird. You make too many mistakes, said Mrs. Bird. I'm going to pick the next house. And here it is, right here. Now here's a church, and this is a steeple, the tall part. And look, there's a little hole. This is usually where they have the bell tower. Yeah, so they're sneaking in there. They flew in and they looked around. Isn't it too big? asked Mr. Bird. I like this big place, said Mrs. Bird. This is the place to build our new nest. Now, is this going to be a good place or a bad place? What do you think? They went right to work. They needed many things to build their nest. First, they got some hay. That's good. Then they got some soda straws and some broom straws, and they even got some sweater string. They got some stocking string and some mattress stuffing. Oh my goodness. They got some horse hair and they got some man hair. Soon they had all the hay, all the straw, all the string, all the stuffing, and all the horse hair and all the man hair they could carry. They took it all back to build their nest. Look at all their stuff. Mr. and Mrs. Bird worked very hard. It took them the rest of the morning to finish their nest. This nest really is the best, said Mrs. Bird. I want to stay here forever. It did turn out really nice, didn't it? Mr. Bird was very happy too. He flew to the top of his house and he sang his song again. I love our house, I love our nest, in all the world our nest is best. He was so busy singing, he didn't even see Mr. Parker coming. Okay, so here comes Mr. Parker. It looks like he's coming to church. Every day at 12 o'clock, Mr. Parker came to the church. Mr. Parker came to pull a rope. The rope went up to the bird's new nest. Is this a good thing or bad thing? Make a prediction. What's going to happen? The rope rang the big bell right under Mrs. Bird's nest. Bong, bong, bong. Remember, we talked about these fun words that make sounds? Poor Mrs. Bird, look at her. Mrs. Bird got out of there as fast as she could fly. So there she is. She's taking off out of that nest. She's so scared. And here's Mr. Bird. He doesn't even know what's going on, does he? When Mr. Bird came in, all he could see was a mess of hay and string and stuffing and horsehair and man hair and straws. Where is Mrs. Bird? I will look for her until I find her, said Mr. Bird. He looked high, he looked low, he looked everywhere for Mrs. Bird. Oh no, look, he's gone all over the place. He can't find her. How is his bucket right now? I bet he's almost on the red zone. He's probably so upset. He looked down into a chimney, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. He looked down into the water barrel, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. Then he saw a big, fat cat, and there was a big, fat smile on the big, fat cat's face, and there were some pretty brown feathers near the cat's mouth. Oh, no. Mr. Bird began to cry. Oh, dear, he cried. This big, fat cat has eaten Mrs. Bird. Oh, no. See the tears? He's crying tears, isn't he? Mr. Bird flew off. I'll never see Mrs. Bird again, he cried. It was getting dark. It began to rain. It rained harder and harder. Mr. Bird could not see where he was going. Poor Mr. Bird. Crash! There's another one of our cool sound words. Crash! Crash! Mr. Bird bumped into something. I wonder what he bumped into. It was his old house. That old house that Mrs. Bird hated. I think I'll go inside, said Mr. Bird. I'll rest here until the rain stops. Mr. Bird went in, and there was Mrs. Bird sitting there singing, I love my house, I love my nest, in all the world my nest is best. I thought she hated that house. Now she loves it. You here? Said Mr. Bird. I thought you hated this old nest. Mrs. Bird smiled. I used to hate it, she said, but a mother bird can change her mind, you see. There's no nest like an old nest for a brand new baby bird. Look, she had an egg. She laid her egg. And they're probably robins because robins have blue eggs, don't they? And when the egg popped open, the new bird thought so too. The end. I know, isn't that funny? It's kind of like a circle story, isn't it? They started at the old nest and they ended up back at the old nest, didn't they? So draw a picture of your favorite part and write a couple sentences for me. Have a great day, and don't forget to post your work so I can see it. I can't wait to see your pictures and your writing.